Hey everybody, this is Ashton Forbes from MH370X. Recently I was on a podcast where Niko from the Corridor crew attempted to debunk our real MH370X videos. Problem was he made several false statements that discredit his position, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and just review those real quickly. The one thing that he did get accurate was that there's no discrepancies anywhere out through these videos. He said that they're perfect. They are perfect because they're real. Now if you look through them, you can see that this type of stuff that we're seeing on here is not types of things anyone would be able to fake. But let's just go into all the details. First of all, I want to point out that what we're seeing coming from the back of this plane is smoke. It's not contrails like Niko implied. Now, if we look at this here, you can see that actually what happens here when this smoke stacks up is actually accurate, because what we're seeing is the smoke's becoming thicker based on our perspective as the drone flies underneath it here. The next thing that Niko got wrong was that the clouds supposedly don't move. The clouds do actually move. Here's the explanation for the clouds moving. The clouds actually move. It's not as simple as horizontal vertical movement as some may expect on a 3D rendered screen. The clouds are moving realistically. So let's go take a look at those. Here you can see very clearly the clouds are actually wiggling, just as we might expect from clouds moving. Now, in addition to this, Niko claimed that there was not parallax, but there actually is parallax. We've proven actually to 2 different videos that there's parallax. So let's go ahead and prove right now that there is. So, if Niko had gone and done his homework, he would have found that people have already posted all this information to Reddit. This is by someone named something B. And he goes ahead and takes the original video, and he uses this editing software to lay it over the top where you can see the parallax effect very clearly. We have another more detailed version of this, which I showed on the Danny Jones podcast, that shows absolute proof of parallax between these videos. Now, in addition to this, there was a question about whether or not there was blur. There is blur as well. In fact, when the orbs pass through the back of the plane, they do get accurately distorted. Look at that. Not just that, but we can actually see blur in the final frame, as well as the orbs actually bending. This is a very detailed thing to put into your hoax video. And why would you do it just in the final frame there? Unless, otherwise, this is actually just a plane accelerating, like we would expect from an accurate camera. Now, one of the other false statements that he made is that he said that the zap isn't accurately illuminating the clouds. Wrong again. The zap actually does accurately illuminate the clouds in the foreground and in the background, as well as the clouds that are too far away to not be lit up. Another false statement that he made was that our videos were at daytime. These videos are actually at nighttime. This is indicated by the coordinates that we see down here in the bottom left of the satellite video that indicate it to be at the Nicobar Islands at 2:40 a.m. Pitch black. Moon was down. We've checked. Sun was down. There's a witness who saw the plane here as well as an intercepted SOS communication, only reported in Chinese news. What we're looking at here in the satellite video is something called false color IR. In fact, it's most likely a computer-generated battlefield map. This is indicated by the fact that it's 6 frames per second on a very wide field of view, which we've proven because we can see this mouse go off the screen to the top right, bottom left, to the left side as well, indicating that this is a cropped field of view. Now we can show this.
Global persistent infrared surveillance continues.
Because we can go ahead and look at this video from Lockheed Martin. This is publicly available. Look at that. These satellites are scanning the Earth all the time. This actually explains as well why we don't see more apparent movement from the satellites. Because they're sending this data and is building a map where somebody who's in the military can look and see what's going on from the military battlefield perspective. Now, this is important because these satellites are moving too fast. It would be too difficult to figure this out otherwise. It's also apparent because we don't see atmospheric distortion from the satellite shooting down, which is similar to what we saw from the Trump picture. Now, in addition to this, he had questions about the thermal camera. Well, spoiler again, this is not a thermal camera. This is an electro-IR camera. And he questioned why the clouds would be so accurate, or why they'd be so detailed. And again, this is an indication that the videos are just real to have these very detailed clouds. This is an electro-IR camera with the thermal layer added over the top by the leaker, indicating that the leaker was an operator. We believe this camera is a Raytheon camera, probably one of the most advanced cameras in the world for 2014. Now, we have more evidence of that. Somebody reached out to me directly, and they told me that they thought that this was accurate because they ran it by one of their friends who works at General Atomics, who's an expert on these drones. Turns out they actually posted in the comments of one of the videos after they reached out to me. And they said that it appears to be from one of their drones, potentially the MQ-1C Gray Eagle. Now, that's not all. In addition to this, we have to address some other things as well. If somebody faked this, how'd they know what the weather looked like? As we can see from this weather time lapse, we have the exact accurate weather here in these low altitude cumulus clouds showing up on the NASA weather view in the exact right location as well. That's a pretty impressive detail to put into your fake video. Not just that, the coordinates that we mentioned in the videos as well. How would they get that coordinates correct? These coordinates down here indicate the Nicobar Islands. This would require building another program that you would overlay over your fake videos, because this is to how many decimal places? 6 decimal places while the mouse moves? That's pretty impressive. But let's go ahead and get to the coup de grace, the VFX debunk. Now, when we look at this VFX debunk, I want to first of all state as a statement of fact that even on a single frame, it doesn't match. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, guys. My butt is not your butt because they both have similar buttholes on them. You can't use prosaic debunks, especially when we've already shown that what we're looking at here is a Citrix session indicated by the mouse logged in over the actual satellite database. 6 frames per second versus 24 frames per second. But let's look at it anyway. You can tell the middle doesn't match. You can tell from the outside there's only one dot that's in the right location. All the rest of them do not match. So again, as a statement of fact, what we're looking at here is not the same. They're similar, but all dispersion patterns are similar. Not just that, if we were to actually overlay it, let me go ahead and pull the overlay up. You can see that it's not even close. On one single frame, you can see here, that is the frame that they have matched here, or tried to match up the best of their ability. And you can see it still doesn't match. The rest of them aren't even remotely close. You can see these extra blast visuals here that don't exist in ours at all. The amount of effort to move these pixels around would be astronomical. In fact, I want to remind Niko and the Corridor crew that we're not looking at something that reproduced from something else. This would be an original work of art. So what I'd also say is, how many pixels match? If I were to estimate here, I'd say that probably less than 50% of these pixels match. Now, in addition to this, the VFX that they used here was actually the higher quality one. If you were to pull back and look at the lower quality VFX from the original game, it's of much lower quality. Now, what I would also go ahead and ask Niko here, and let's just pull up that lower quality visual effect to really drive it home. This doesn't look anything like ours. This is very low quality. So, if we do think that this is somehow a match, that what we're looking at here, what I would ask is go ahead and stream it. Go ahead and pull stream up. I want you to go ahead and move all the pixels around for us. Use a computer from 2014 as well, and software from 2014, just to really drive it home. Tell us how many hours it takes to move all the pixels around individually. And when you finish that one frame, then we can work on the other ones as well. So once again, guys, as a statement of fact, this Pyromania VFX debunk that comes directly from Metabunk, from a guy named Mick West who has no credibility, does not match. This effect is not in our MH370 videos. I appreciate the effort, but next time, do your homework. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you listening.